So this is for the short track that I did recently. It's the first one of the season, and I'm a bit tired because I rode earlier, but I really wanted to do short track, so here we go. So it is like dusty, and people are just ramming and pumping. I didn't get a good start position because, well, I didn't have a whole lot of hubris that I should be up there, and as I said earlier, because I had ridden the Tuesday ride, I wasn't full of a lot of snap. But I began to settle in, and it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. My legs were actually feeling okay. Lots of argy-bargy in here. And then there's this kid in the gray who's just out of frame on my left. So he was like a real pain in my butt. So right here, he basically chops my front wheel right there, which you really can't see. And I said something to him, and he basically didn't say anything. I mean, this guy was like being like really aggressive. So anyway, kind of ignore that, kind of settling in the mix, feeling like, oh, this is going to be okay. You know, things aren't so bad. So just basically hanging in there, holding my own. See some of the First City guys, Steve Erlocker and the other guys up there, and I'm feeling okay. Riding the Cannondale, and it's a little rougher. I'm thinking maybe I'll ride the Enduro bike next time, but it wasn't ready for this kind of thing. But, you know, it is what it is, and we'll see. So it's my first time, like, actually doing the course. Haven't seen it in a couple years, and it's a little bit different. So I wasn't quite certain, like, where all the tricky spots were. Still holding my own, kind of settling in, watching some of the leaders check out, and by looking at the power I was putting out, I just don't know. So here's the kid in the gray again I just passed. He looks like he got into it with some other guy because basically he was riding like way too aggressive. And here he chops my front wheel again. He did not have to cut over and take that line. So I said something to him, and he gave me some shit. Pardon my language here, but that kid is out of control and needs to check himself. I don't know who he is or where he is, but if somebody sees this, you need to tell him that you don't need to ride like that. I've done a lot of short track, a lot of mountain bike races over the years, and there have been very few people that have ever been that aggressive. I mean, earlier in the year, I had some idiot take out my rear wheel in another race because he's racing like too aggressive, tackled my wheel, and I didn't get to finish it, and I didn't need like another person like damaging my equipment for something that's not going to be worth it. There's no reward here. There's no prizes. There's no money. There's not even any timing this time. So why this kid was being so aggressive, like, I don't know. But he's really a smart ass. Anyway, enough about that. So I'm starting to settle in, feeling a good rhythm. The bike is actually performing like much better than it was at the state championships. I was kind of worried that it would have the shifting issues, but because the enduro bike was out of commission with some braking problems, I had to take it. The only thing I did was put a little oil, a little ceramic chain wax on before the race, and I gotta say that the bike handled flawlessly as far as shifting the entire race. Yeah, maybe I was a little gingerly, you know, with the shifting, but I tried that before in the other race, and that didn't work. But today, things were good. So I'm chasing the First City guys, and you know, I'm having a pretty good time. I'm watching the leaders check out, and I'm kind of just enjoying the scenery. There's that Moots guy that got into it earlier, coming by me, looking strong. So it's pretty twisty, and I'm hoping that I have enough tire pressure in the rear. I forgot to bring my pump, and so I borrowed some guy's hand pump, so it's a little bit light. And I can tell the bike isn't quite as fast as it should be. Although this might be a blessing, because this is kind of a rough course. So maybe the lower tire pressure is good. So down the backstretch here, people are just like, they're just throwing it down here, trying to like get away. And you can see my wattage gets up there, like 300 watts or so, just trying to keep these guys in check. Being as it's only like the first lap, and my legs are still feeling pretty good, or I'm just trying to see like, well, how long are they going to last, and trying to see the course. Nice little run up here, which I was happy enough to ride. There's like almost 600 watts to make that one. And I'm feeling pretty good. I'm in contention. I mean, this is unlike the Cat 1-2 state championships where like those guys have basically checked out. So clearly the ones and twos, no matter how old they are still fast. Or as I've stated before, a half-empty can of whoop ass is still a can of whoop ass. So I'm settling in here, slightly tired legs, but the wattage is good. You know, I'm able to punch it, and I'm pretty happy with how things are performing. Seeing guys behind me, I'm like definitely in the mix. I'm not last, so that's pretty cool. And guys aren't like passing me easily, and that's cool too. So you see the guys behind. These guys know how to ride. I think they eventually do get around me, but it isn't the kind of aggressive, assertive pass that, you know, makes me concerned for my equipment. But I gotta say, I really love this course. It's twisty, it's turny, it's got accelerations, and when I'm in shape, this is the stuff I love. I used to love crits and these punchy little things where you can just get out and just jam down the power. I love that. When I'm not tired. And at least in my younger years, I loved it. I just need to do more of it because I haven't done as much as I'd like. Nice little pass there, nice and clean. I mean, if he was that other guy, he would have basically like checked me, and there would have been some concern there. But that was nice. So he gets in between me and the first city guy. Nice little moto, like foot hanging out. I like that. I do that on occasion. Don't see a lot of other guys doing it, but glad to see that they are. See some guys up front. So, you know, people are not just checking out, which I'm very happy to see. First lap, almost done. This section was kind of rough with the Cannondale. I was like, yeah, definitely the 650Bs are not what I really want, or maybe it's just the travel of that bike. You know, being a soft tail, and basically I just left the suspension locked out on that. I'm certain that it was a lot rougher than what these other guys are riding. So pretty much next week, I'm going to try the enduro bike if I can get the wheels set up correctly, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see if it's going to be any faster. Kind of bummed there was no timing, but you know, I'm just happy to kind of be out here. So those guys kind of biff it on that one, and there's a B line. So I take the B line behind this, and it looks like the first city guy is going to come in there. Yep, he gets going. So I was going to ride this, and I was like, oh, like kind of blocks me, and I was like, okay, maybe next time. But it's those little mistakes that, you know, make the leaders kind of check out if you can't be smooth. So this kind of dirt was kind of loose around here, but it was still fun. Still checking out the course, and there's this nice little twisty off-camber section up here. We're making this little right-hand turn. Had to be a little leery because the tires on the Cannondale, they are like those cross-country low knobby things, and right here you can see where some people are kind of washed out. Still having lots of fun, settling in, definitely knowing that I can like pretty much complete the race without too much fatigue. This is kind of off and like sketchy. I would love to be able to ride that a lot faster. And as weeks go on, I'm certain I will. And as the laps go on, I was like better at it. But of course, skiing stuff for the first time, you don't know when and where you really need to go hard. So I've liked this section better than the previous years. This little run up, instead of going out back to the street, this little run up here is kind of nice. That's Steve Ardacher, and like nice guy out of the way, and I was able to ride that. So that bought me some time. Actually passed a guy. That's cool, even though he was on like clunker cross bike thingy. Apparently some of these guys were getting really good starts. So that's the end of the first lap. Second lap's pretty much the same. I'll just ramble on here because, you know, I might as well. Checking out the scenery. Kind of cool to get the reverse image here and see, you know, what the course looks like. Tons of fans out there, just like the old days. I'm really enjoying this. You know, I saw like Marie Walsh out there with her daughter cheering me on somewhere out there. Bill Heisterman also. Kind of good to hear your name. Although for first I wasn't certain because I know it's like, well, they're cheering for Steve, and there's Steve Erlacher was right in front of me. So it's like, well, I'll take it. You know, my wattage is still like pretty decent coming down the backstretch. So like this section here, like this guy is pretty fast, and he gets into my draft and drafts me basically the whole way down the stretch and makes a nice little pass. Which it's kind of cool that he did that, you know. And you can see he's like soft pedal enjoying the draft, but I'm happy to do the work for right now. And then he makes the pass. Nice and clean. And so he's going to be my carrot for the rest of the race. Looks like he's got his GoPro there, nice footage. It'd be interesting to see what his view looks like. I don't know if he'll post it anywhere, but it'd be cool if he does. And I thought about wearing my GoPro, but you know, I honestly like the 360 camera a lot better. I've been having issues with mine, like so it's been cutting off and it hasn't been recording like as much as I'd like. So I should have gotten the whole race, but I only got like 2 laps. Anyway, that being said, love the 360. It's just a lot of fun. And of course, I threw the telemetry in there because, you know, I just like doing that. The GoPro will also have the telemetry, but it doesn't throw in power. And GoPro's Dashware, excellent software. Love using it. So this section here is like, I'm thinking bigger tires would have been better. Or maybe a brain shock or some such. But regardless, you know, it is what it is, and I'm still having fun. You can see my heart rate, like 170 beats per minute. So we're pretty much like on the rivet here. 169, it's like, yeah. I really didn't think I had it in me after today's ride to be able to like keep those kind of heart rates for the entire event. But my fitness is really good this year. So I can't really complain. So it's kind of good that I went out and did the Tuesday ride and then came out and did this. It's great training. And I suppose if there was timing and if there was prizes on the line, I would skip the Tuesday ride, which I tried to take it easy, but on that ride, you really can't take it easy. And it's always going to take a little something out of you. Still pushing some good horsepower out of there, like 200 plus watts. And you can see people still fading back. You know, it feels kind of good to be competitive out here, or at least to be in the mix. You know, that's state championships when I was like OTB. That's off the back. And until, you know, getting lapped by the pro and single speed guys in the third or fourth lap. Yeah, you know, not that much fun. And my ego's good. You know, it doesn't really matter, you know, that happens. But it definitely lets you know that those mutant 1-2s, they're fast. And since I only moved up to 2 a couple years ago, there's a big difference between the Cat 3s and the Cat 2s, even in the 50 plus. Caught another rider there, so in between the First City guys. So I'm feeling good, you know, definitely not slacking here. Heart rate still in the 168, so looks like I'm able to, you know, keep it on the rivet like the entire race, which is really good to know. Unfortunately, this was only like 3 laps, and for some reason I was thinking we might have been able to get 4 out of it, but next time, because I think the experts last year did 4, but because of time constraints they had to get people in, but I'm okay with it. Fun times, trying to get better at these corners, and this slight terrain here, a little bit rough. The Cannondale accelerates like really well, but it doesn't like hold an edge that well, or at least I'm not willing to push it given the tires that it's got. But I'm definitely doing better than like last year, and the grass is a nice edge, so I didn't take a lot of risks, but I didn't come anywhere near like washing out or anything, so that's a good sign. I really need to go out and watch the Pro Open guys like do this, because I did watch a little of what they were doing, and those guys were doing some of that off-camera stuff like they were on rails, just like leaned over, super confident, you know, willing to take that risk, and their skill set's just a whole lot better. Second lap, feeling the rhythm, and this guy in front of me, he's definitely my carrot. I don't think that I'd be pushing as hard if like he wasn't there. Super pleased that the bike's shifting really well, and super pleased that I'm able to like make it up all these run-ups, which, you know, that first time when I got blocked by those guys. So maybe this tells me, you know, maybe I ought to have a little more hubris. Maybe I need to put myself in the middle of that pack and see what's going on. See if I can hold my own. Because I know there's definitely guys that were in front of me that were just not, they're no faster than I was, or I am, just they got a better start. Although that being said, I'm going about as fast as I can, and so it would have just been like, yeah, I got a better start, but my workout wouldn't have been any better, so it doesn't really matter. So this stuff is like super fun, and I'm playing with like leaning the bike and you know, positioning bike body separation, and seeing how the bike handles, picking some different lines, watching some guys' lines, and I think I'm getting faster each lap. It looked like my Strava segments, like I was really consistent with a couple of laps within like a second or so, which is pretty good, and then off by like 20 seconds on one of the laps. Maybe someone will have made a segment out of it, so next time I go look at it, I can check it out again. This is kind of a neat little section here with these switchbacks. It's kind of nice to be able to see the competition in front of you or behind you or whatever. and the course is like so nicely marked, and it's different enough from last year. So the Strava segments kind of showed this as being like the cross course or something, and maybe it is one of the cross courses. And if it is, I'm thinking I might have to dig out the cross bike and try my hand at cross this year, because that could be a lot of fun. Different bike, different experience, collect a few more race numbers. So this is the section where I was hoping to be able to get through a little faster. A little rough, a little chunky for the bike, so it wasn't all that smooth here. It doesn't look like it's horrible, but as you can see, I lost a little ground to this guy in front of me. Coming down into this section here, not horrible. And then I'm much happier when we get to this stuff. You know, it's smoother and the bike is happier. And now that I know the course, this is cool. So let's see, do I do the B line here? I do the A line. I think, yeah, I do the A line. It looks a lot scarier than it is, and actually it's a ton of fun and much faster than the B line. Lots of cheering going on here. Had my bar ends on, so folks were saying, use the bar ends, use the bar ends. And I did, you know, and that made a big difference. Love what they did here. Love seeing the people out, just like the old days. Although I can see the crowd is like definitely getting younger and younger. You know, I see a few people that I knew out there, but there was a ton of people that I'm like, who are these people? Maybe some of my older crowd, maybe they're doing like the intermediate or the open races or whatever. Yeah, I probably should have stayed around a little bit longer to chat or whatever, but it was going to get dark, and I had a couple rides in that day, so I figured, you know, do some socializing next time. My quick scan did not show like a ton of people that I knew. And that's kind of good, changing of the guard and all that. So whipping down through this section definitely would have been a lot more fun on the enduro bike. Just got to be aware to push that pig up these little hills. But that being said, you know, and depending which tire set I use, it could be that it's going to corner a lot better. So we'll just see. So that's the end of the second lap. We're almost done here. This was probably the scariest section, this little corner here. I didn't want to go down on that one, but it's definitely a chance to gain a lot of advantage. You know, my carrot is still there. Looks like I made a little ground on him, and I've like pulled him back in a little bit. You know, had I really thought about this being the last lap, I would have tried to maybe push a little bit harder. But as you can see, my heart rate's still in the 160s, and yes, I did have the heart rate strap on, so that's pretty much correct. Super cool that I can still run those high heart rates for like 30 minutes or so, you know, even after a tough ride during the day, so pretty happy. So this is the stretch where I probably should have pushed a lot harder, thinking that it was like near the end, because I could have gone anaerobic, and maybe I did because my heart rate went up to 170. So, but yeah, I can see I'm making a little bit of ground here on the gentleman, and if I really thought about it, I probably could have passed, but it's like, you know, especially since he's grabbing the water bottle. Yeah, and the watt is still like what 200 watts, you know, or so, still coming in through here. I think if my bike would have rolled a little bit better through this section, so I'm really curious to see if the pig of an enduro bike's going to be any better or faster. It'll at least be more fun next week. Anyway, enough of my rambling. A good time was had by all. We don't see anything more than this, and probably close to the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and hope to get more of this next week if my camera works.